My name is Helen and I'm 60 years old. I've never been someone who takes chances. For most of my life I played by the rules. Married early, raised 2 daughters, worked as a school librarian for nearly 3 decades, and retired into the quiet suburban life most people would describe as comfortable. But behind the comfort, I always carried a certain stillness. A dull echo of something missing, something quietly buried under responsibility, routine, and the slow silence that builds after the house becomes empty. My husband passed away 6 years ago. It wasn't sudden. He had been sick for some time. Grieved, of course. But even more than grief, I felt disoriented. For years my life had revolved around caretaking, and then suddenly I was just here, alone in a quiet home filled with memories. That's why, when the doorbell rang one cold October afternoon, I almost didn't answer. But something nudged me toward the door. Maybe curiosity, maybe instinct. He was standing there, soaked from the unexpected rain, holding a toolbox. His name was Sam, a contractor sent by the property manager to fix the leaky roof. I had completely forgotten the appointment. He apologized for being late, and I stepped aside to let him in. Just like that, I broke a rule I didn't even realize I had. I let someone unfamiliar into my space. I made tea while he worked, and when he came down from the attic, I offered him a cup. He accepted with a warm smile and sat at the small table in my kitchen. Talk. Not about anything important, just the weather, the town, how long I'd lived here. He complimented the wallpaper, said it reminded him of his grandmother's house. I laughed, maybe a bit too loudly, surprised by how easily the sound left my mouth. The visit was short, but it lingered. 4 days after, I caught myself standing near the window, watching the leaves fall, wondering if I'd see him again. Not because I wanted him. Not romantically. But because something about that brief interaction reminded me that I was still here. Still a person. Still capable of being seen. 2 weeks later, the phone rang. The roofing company wanted to send someone for a follow-up inspection. I said yes without hesitation. It was Sam again. This time we talked longer. He asked about the photographs on the mantel. I told him stories about my daughters, my late husband, the library where I used to work. He listened. Not politely, truly listened. And when he said, "You must have touched a lot of lives," I felt something stir in me. A sense of worth I hadn't felt in years. We never crossed any lines. There was no flirtation, no promises, no blurred boundaries. But his presence brought something back to life. A sense of being acknowledged. Of being real again. After that second visit, I started doing things differently. I opened the curtains more. Rearranged the furniture. Took long walks through the neighborhood instead of staying indoors. I even started attending a local book club where I made 2 new friends. Other women my age, each with their own stories of loneliness and rediscovery. I realized something simple, yet profound. Healing doesn't always come in the form of dramatic change. Sometimes it's a conversation over tea with someone who sees you. Sometimes it's letting go of invisible rules you've lived by for too long. And sometimes it's letting someone in, not just into your house, but into your awareness that you're still alive, still evolving. So no, this isn't a love story. It's a story of awakening. Of remembering that we're allowed to grow even when we think our growing days are over. I let him into my house. And everything shifted, not because of him but because I finally saw myself again.